I think I've kind of had a little bit of pushback from agencies on this, but this is something for you and Tim to take note of, and anyone else. But the whole FTC and reviews, that's something that I am recommending that I'll be doing myself and recommending that other agencies do, is to include something in your contract, because the FTC has basically said that they've got all these new guidelines. And if you violate one of these guidelines, they're not only coming after the business with the website, but the marketing company that's doing any work for them on their website, and any review platforms that they use to get reviews. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, most of our customers are going to be small and probably aren't going to be impacted. But I don't want to take that risk that probably they're not going to be impacted if I can just do a waiver in my contract. And basically the waiver would be like, this is your website. When I finished it and turned it over to you, it was compliant to the FTC guidelines at this time, which stated blah, blah. Because, if you have a monthly maintenance agreement with them, you're kind of making sure the plugins are working and stuff. And a lot of times you will, if there's a review widget on the website, you will pretty much set that up. For the client doesn't typically set that up, maybe, but normally it's the website designer. And make sure it's set up properly and not review gating, because that was their big thing on this $4.2 million claim, where they fined a company. And the other thing is, if you set it up, the business could go in and change it. Someone in the business could. You don't want to be on the hook. You want to say, this is how I set it up. You change it, that's you. I didn't make that change. That's kind of where I'm coming from. And I think some people think that it's being a little bit too conservative. But I'm a small business. I'd rather put a statement in than have to deal with something later. And again, I think from the way things are looking, that the main businesses that are going to be impacted are I think it was like 700 businesses that the FTC sent that letter out saying, hey, we've looked at your site. They're bigger companies, or anyone using a review platform. I think there were 10 of them that got the notice. So if you're using one of those 10 platforms, I want to say Reputation. I don't want to say one if I can't remember. But there's a list of them on the FTC site. There's 10 of them. If you're using one of them, your site will probably get more scrutiny, like any of their customers, because they were given a letter saying your software, your platform specifically, can violate our guidelines, and you're put on warning. So wow. If you're using one of them, of those 10, I would say you definitely need to be careful. But again, it's the FTC. I don't think that they don't have the resources to go after all of these small businesses, but I don't want to be the one that they go, have one of my clients be the one that they pick up and say, oh, look at that, And the other thing is, what if, you have a client that for whatever reason is not happy, and how some not happy clients kind of go after you, and what if they report you? They see that you review gated on your widget, and they report you. Who knows? I don't want my client to be the example.
Yeah, I mean, when I hear you say this, my mind goes to a hypothetical locally based but very competitive industry. Let's say plumbers or HVAC. Mm-hmm. And let's say there's one very large company in the metropolitan area in which you live that dominates everybody, and they have reviews, and they incentivize their employees to ask for reviews while they're on site. And so they have a ton of Google reviews, and they're all very flattering, because when you ask someone in person, they're never going to tell you you're a jerk to your face.
Mm-hmm.
So then let's say you're an up and coming competitor of theirs, mm-hmm. and you're obsessed with rank because that's what someone told you SEO is all about. And you see is all these reviews and all these great reviews, and you say to yourself, I need reviews too. And so your marketing person, because you're a mid-major, your marketing person, it might just be a person, and that person may not be very experienced in telling clients no, or saying to clients, hey, that's a bad idea. And so you respond with, hey, mid-major HVAC company, let's use one of these systems and get these reviews. And that can just see you getting into big trouble that way, because your people will fixate on one thing rather than try the long road of, well, let's start asking for reviews. Like one of the things I do with all my clients is I prepare a PDF that they can literally just email to anybody with links to places to fill out reviews.
Yeah.
And hey, you just have to ask for reviews, you know, and it's a good idea to ask for them ahead of time, right? You know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, because every once in a while, some crazy will come by and just give you a 1 star and won't explain it, or 1 star and it'll be like, I had a client that got a bad review because they didn't have pencils. They're a school, but it's like their response kind of was like, bring your own dang pencil. Like, we're not an office supply store, we're a school.
Really?
You know, I don't blame that, but you can't say that. Like, but so there's no arguing with the person who's giving you 1 star because you didn't have pencils.
Yeah. And most people reading that are gonna be like, whatever,
right,
and bypass that review and ignore it.
Right, but that's why you need to make sure you have good reviews. That are real. Just
exactly.
You're not stacking to death. These are not live reviews. These are actual reviews. But you got to do it before the crazies come. And give you a 1 star because you didn't part your hair on the proper side or something stupid like that.
And a big part of this, which I do suspect a lot of businesses that have review widgets on their site, basically when you see the site, the review widgets pop up at the bottom with reviews. Those are typically pulling directly from wherever, Google, Facebook, wherever. The FTC basically says you can't review gate that, meaning that you cannot say, oh, show only 4 and 5 star reviews. You have to show every single review.
Right.
So, and a lot of businesses don't like that because they're like, well, if I have a 1 star review and it pulls in there, I don't want a 1 star review on my website. And I get that, but that's the FTC standing. And while I don't agree with it, the FTC made their guidelines.
Well, it's technically against Google's guidelines too. If Google catches you a review gating, you will get a nasty gram from Google. But how Google knows you're review gating is another story.
Yeah. Well,
they're not investigating, nor is it illegal to break Google's rules.
Yes, exactly. And I think though, with Google, previously it was focused on review gating when getting reviews.
Right.
And this is more focused, the FTC focused on how you display reviews.
Oh, interesting.
And so, because I honestly, when I in the past talked about review gating, it really hadn't dawned on me that there was review gating in displaying reviews. To me, it was always when you ask for reviews, you can't review gate, and the FTC says that as well. But that was something because Google has removed a ton of reviews that were review gated, plus ones that were gotten before they started review gating on getting reviews. So Google will take them down if they find out, and the way they find out, their algorithm can catch things where it's like all they see is a ton of 5 star and it's like something's going on here. But those probably, this is my assumption, is that it's probably on ones that have a lot of reviews in general. So if you've got 10 or 15, they may not catch it because it may not be as much. But I think there was one, several years back where it was like 300-400 reviews, and they took almost 60-70% of them removed. So it was like I can't remember the exact numbers because of the review gating, and that was Google took them down. So they have taken reviews down because of that. and they will take reviews that started before you even review gated. So definitely don't do that. But
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of statistical sample models where you can look at large data and say,
Yeah.
oh, this is weird, right? Clearly it's weird if you have 300 reviews and they're all 5-star.
Yeah.
Like nobody's that perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Now, if you have 5 reviews and they're all 5 stars and you're just getting started, well, clearly you're stacking the deck and you're asking for it. Like I caught, it wasn't a competitor, but sort of a competitor, reviewing his own business.
I've seen that a lot. And I'm
right.
like,
oh, this guy's the best person. Well, yeah, I bet you do, because it's you.
Yeah. I think I'm wonderful. Yeah. Leave yourself a review.
I hate myself, so it's easy to give myself a bad review.
I've seen that in people. It's like they don't understand. It's like you have to explain to them, you can't leave yourself a review. You can't ask your family to leave you a review. It's got to be your actual client, customer.
Yeah.
So,
but there's ways to catch it.
Yeah.
It does not surprise. And you know, even today, I was looking at a product with a lot of reviews, and I was like, looking through it, looking for the bad reviews. Because I'm like, yeah, they just sorted them by 5 stars. And so they had a lot of 5-star reviews, but I kept going down because I wanted to see the bad reviews.
Yeah.
And because I used the bad reviews to say, okay, is there something that's really a problem? Or is it the crazies? And so you could kind of tell, oh, so this guy's really frustrated. He had a bad day and he just didn't follow the directions. Okay, that's fine. Or sometimes people are just really critical and they're like, this is a real problem. Well, that might not be a huge problem to me. I might not give him 1 star for that, but I'm glad to know that. And that's helped me.
Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah, exactly. It's, if people realize, and my clients don't quite get this, but you get it, the idea that no one trusts a 5-star review.
Yeah.
You know,
I have to remember that for myself. I've like got a ton of 5-star reviews. I've got 1 4-star, and it's like, I don't want to ask for a 4-star review over below, but it's like, I got a lot of 5-star reviews, but hey, you know, but yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think that this is almost something that is kind of like how privacy started out. Like, you know, at the beginning, when we were thinking about adding the privacy stuff on the websites, it was like, oh, do we really need to do that? Da, da, da. And I think that this is something, you know, the FTC just came out with this stuff beginning of this year. They've been gradually doing things up until now, and this was just a big one. And I think that the reason they had was it $4.2 million fine is that they wanted to make a big impact and show, because it was a pretty big deal, what the business was doing, how they were handling things. And I kind of think that it was just like, hey, look, these are issues. They even have like guidelines, some PDFs for agencies and businesses of like, hey, this is what you need to do. So while I think that probably most of us will be okay, I think it's better to be on the safe side. So right. I mean, I happen to be reading a book that's very libertarian in its leaning. And so the argument there would be, don't regulate it, let the market deal with it. But I don't want to get into that. But the interesting thing is, I think most consumers understand if all the reviews are perfect, it's not trustworthy, and that reflects poorly on your company as a whole. Yeah.
You know, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it shouldn't be regulated. I'm just saying, yeah, I think most consumers trust a little less than perfect review. And but I'm with you. I'm not going to ask for a 4-star review.
Yeah, no.
And technically, that would be just as wrong as asking for a 5-star review.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and this was one of the things I meant to mention. Mike Blumenthal was the one that spoke on this specific topic. I've seen him speak several times, and he really he's really gotten into the details of everything that the FTC has said, and I really trust his judgment. You probably heard of Mike Lumen.
Yeah, the name is familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot with local SEO, and he actually was one of the original founders of GatherUp. So and listening to him, how he said things progress, like that's a platform that I like and use. And the way he talks is like, years ago when they started, it was kind of like the Wild West and everybody would just do whatever. And then over the years, they've updated when they see things coming down the pipeline that like, oh, this isn't the way it really should be. So let's tighten up things. Because a lot of review platforms will let you have your review widget like ReviewGate and not show all of your reviews. And they're now, lots of them are going in and changing that. Even ones that didn't get letters from the FTC, which is good. I would say if you're using a review platform that allows you to ReviewGate in your widget, to reach out to them and ask them, is that something that they're going to keep? And if they do, I would say they're probably not a platform to stick with. And if they're doing it right now and it's kind of in the middle of when this is happening and they need time to adjust, I get that completely. But if they don't have in their process to quickly change that, I would get away from them, simply because the FTC will probably come looking at them next to say, why haven't you complied with their guidelines? And it's easier to go after them that have basically have that review platform widget on lots of different sites than to look at the individual sites. So
yeah.